Hey. Okay. All I did was unselect the source and then reselect it. Now, bear with me 1 second because I'm getting a hella echo here. Turn that off. Okay. Can you hear me? And can you only hear one of me and not the stupid echo that we had last week? I did not need that today. I was late. I was behind this morning. Oh my days. Anyway, I need to put this behind me. I have not had a great morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome along. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, welcome. Frickin' welcome. All right, finally, welcome to... What is this? Cubecast, episode 8. Oh boy, howdy, have we got a show for you today, everyone. I actually had to do research today, which I'm not happy about either, okay? This isn't supposed to be work. This isn't supposed to be work. But it feels like it was work today. Okay, what are we doing? We've got a new cube alert. Sound the alarm, a new cube alert. We're going to be looking at the YS3M V2 later on. We are going to be taking a deep dive, and oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot, okay? It's going to be a lot, so prepare yourself. We are going to take a deep dive into little baby YiHeng's world record average, and we're going to be doing some frame counting. I have some issues. I have some thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. Everyone's got thoughts about this. I don't love that we are drilling this deep into the actions of a very, very tiny child. But it's what it is. We're going to take a look at it because it's the hot topic, everyone, and that's what we want here, right? Here at Cubecast, we want the hot topic. And then, as well as that, we're going to be asking the question, the burning question, WTF is FTO, all right? What the fudge is FTO? That's the question we're looking to answer today. And actually, we have experts in, okay? I didn't have to research this because I have people who know what they're talking about. James McDermott, we're going to ask him the question, like, what is the puzzle? Where does it come from? What the actual is this thing? Is it fun? How does it solve? All that kind of stuff. And then Kit Clement, everyone. If you don't know who Kit Clement is, he's an ex-delegate. A very, very senior delegate from America. He's gonna come on, and we're gonna ask him because you've all seen people saying hashtag FTO for WCA, right? So looking to ask Kit, well, what does that actually mean? Like, where are we in the process? Is there a process for adding an event, first of all? Oh, James, he's still a delegate. I beg your pardon. What is the process for adding an event? Is FTO actually in that process? And is it gonna happen? Like, does he think it's gonna happen? We've got the hardware now, arguably, or we have the first part of the wave of hardware. I'm not sure if the LAN FTO counts. But anyway, I also need to tell you, just before we move on, by the way, this is episode 8. Next week, episode 9 will be the last of this first, season. I'm going to do these when the schools are in, all right? When school is happening. When it's the school holidays here in New Zealand, I just can't. All right? Dad life, that's how it is. I just can't. So we're going to have episode 9 next week, and then we're going to have 2 weeks off. I'll probably do something. I'll do some kind of video about anything that pops up. And I will potentially do some practice streams, but there won't be much advance notice of them, and they might be at stupid o'clock in the morning if you're in America. I don't know if I can stream very well for America during the holidays, which is why I don't do these in the holidays, because it's just not a good idea. Right. First thing we need to do, everyone. We have important work to do, and I've not made this easy for myself. All right? I'm ready to admit that. Hey, how you going? I'm lost in the sauce. I'm lost in the cube sauce. All right. So here's what happened, okay? When we did that Discord call last week with James, for some reason, no, the week before, it added an extra mic channel. So I took that mic channel away. And then I successfully recorded a video for my sponsor video, sponsor announce. And that worked fine as well. But now for some reason, like I cannot emphasize enough, okay? I cannot emphasize enough how much I hate OBS. It's why I never used to use it, because I hate it with a burning passion, all right? So here's the thing. I'm going to have to take this mic now and I'm going to have to copy it, aren't I? On my solving? No, for some reason on solving it's still there. Okay, let's check all my scenes, everyone. Quick scene check. It's there on full screen. It's there on solving now. It's there on YouTube now. I've not used the Discord call one yet, but let's just have a look at that. Actually, did I have that? Did I even save it? Oh, yeah, Discord call. Discord call's there, and there's a whole bunch of very suspicious looking extra audio channels on Discord call for reasons I can't explain. What was I saying? Hello, StewCube. Not me cubes. Not me cubes. Really putting the BS in OBS. That's fire. We like that. StewCube, OBS and Discord is an actual nightmare. OBS just on its own at any time of day is an actual nightmare. Now, what was I doing? I was telling people, I was doing important work, OBS, actually. Coroneer. Copy. I'm proud of you, buddy. Now, this looks like another one. I'm proud of you. Well done. I'm going to have to copy and paste my way through these, everyone, today, because there are so many people making false first claims this week that, honestly, frankly, I'm appalled. Frankly, hey, Beyblade Brothers, I'm proud of you. Well done. Is that the actual first? Technically the first to say first. Oh, no, that's that one. That one wins. Okay, Cubelog, you win. Technically the first to say first. Yeah, proud of you, buddy. Well done. I think that one is as well. I think Clement got one. I think Clement's got a legitimate first claim there as well, so that's good. While I'm doing these, I need to know, because I feel like disqualified. I feel like that might be a bit aggressive. So maybe we just need to give everyone else a DNF. Would that be better? That's a bit more on brand, isn't it? First, that's genuine. That's legit. Billy's bad at cubing. Nice work. Good job. John Baxter, my buddy there, he got a first. That one's legit as well. Someone trying to claim a German first. No, that's not going to work. You can't do multilingual first. That's not really how it works. And there's another one. I think Kuroneer's the MVP. James, I did this to myself. I did. And I'm just doing it more now. Okay. Are we gonna give everyone DNFs? I think DNF might be a better idea than a disqualified. Disqualify, I want people to come back. You know? So I'm going to issue DNFs for everyone else this week. First to say first, even though I'm 17th. Nope, DNF. Not first, but I'm 6th. Nope, sorry, DNF. You're done. You're done. Get out of here. 5th, nope, DNF. First, no, you got one, you're good. Not first, not last either. I mean, sure, but nope, get out of here. Curious Nick, do I get a consolation prize? No, you can have this DNF, there you go. First to comment, second, I mean, trying to get me on a technicality, but you're not having that. DNF, Billy's got a legit one. 15th, what are you doing? Get out of here, DNF, gone, bye. I wish I could say first. First in German, I mean, I like it. I like that creative thinking. Oh, I missed one. I missed a legit one. Proud of you. There you go. Last, Joshua, no. Come on now. Get out of here. DNF. 4th is a DNF. Sorry for the copy and pasting. I hope you know that I'm still taking this very seriously. This is probably the most serious part of the show. James suggesting penalty might be a good idea for a future. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Have we still got audio, everyone? Gosh, I've got gear fear today. I do not like getting gear fear. Right, there we go. I've done the firsts. We have to look at the polls. What polls did we have this week? I feel like we did important work. No, let's just go to my channel. That's an easier way to look at it, isn't it? Your channel. Did you like my little clickbait yesterday? My little, no, was it clickbait? Engagement bait? I don't know. I don't know what it was. Community, that's what I want. Someone suggesting anything over second should get a +2. Yeah, Amethyst Mac. That's not a bad idea. Thank you, Ibrahim. Oh, Ibrahim, we're going to look at your document you did today. Thank you for sending that through. Yeah, this was good, isn't it? This is a genuine image. I have not doctored this image apart from putting the red little bits on it. But I thought I would get some engagement on there. Right, timer slides. We asked people about timer slides because that's what we're talking about today. Fairly overwhelming 65%. Okay? Are saying that's cheating. WCA needs to get on it. That's pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of comments in there as well, which I can't go through all of them. There is one we're going to look at. What other polls did we have? You can only choose one. Dianshan FTO absolutely comprehensively beat the double quarter pounder. Important stuff. Important stuff. Was that the only polls I did? notmecubes got 1K subs. Congratulations. Well done. And yeah, that's it. That is it. Oh, James, that's the next poll. Actually, let's do that as a poll in the chat right now. Time for 4-pad mode in cubing. Is it time? Is it time for 4-pad mode in cubing? Let's start that in the chat right now. Stu Cube, sliding is based. Oh, was that not me Cubes' short video that I shared as well? Congratulations, well done. First, and review the polls. We've done what's coming up. It's probably time to get into some solves, hey? So far, 4-pad not looking very popular. 69 nice to 31 there for a second, and now someone ruined it. So thanks for that, whoever voted 15th. We're going to look into this and we're going to solve this today. I'm going to look at a video by Dawid. I can't remember their last name. Dang it. It's complicated in Polish. But I will try and say it later, but I don't have it written down in front of me. I was trying to get in touch with Cubemaster. If anyone knows Cubemaster, tell him to accept my friend request on Discord, because I was trying to add in Cubemaster so that I could use his video, but they did not respond, and I have taken it personally. I haven't really, but I'm not going to use it because they haven't said I can, because that's being nice. Okay, should we do some solves, eh? Here's my cube. We're going to do an average of 5. Let me know your times in the chat. Let me know what you're maining in the chat. Mike thinking he's one of the Solve guys. Where's my Solve guys invite? You know, when am I cameoing on Solve guys? Is that going to happen? Tingman? Oh, David's in the David's in the chat. Hello. Can I please, as you're in the chat, Dawid, can I please have some? I need some Euro assistance. Okay, can I please have some help with pronouncing your first name? Do I pronounce it like a V or do I pronounce it like a W? Is it Dawid? 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 And I'm going to go ahead and assume they them pronouns, but if you have pronouns, let me know as well. Right, let's do some solves, everyone. I'm not warmed up in the slightest. Let's do it. Going just raw dogging into some solves this morning. I think I've had one too many copies as well. Oh. Ibrahim saying Cubemaster might have replied to my comment. Oh, well, that's nice. It's kind of not in my plan now, but that's fine. David. Emphasis on the da. Is that what we're looking for? David. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Much appreciated. Okay. Let's do a solve, you champions. Ooh, can live with this. Oh, fat handed it straight off the bat, and it was a gift too. It is a gift. It still keeps on giving. Love this for me. Absolutely love this for me. Oh. Little Y perm to start the day. Sub 20. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sub 20. No warm up. Straight off the bat. Will Cooper saying 8 Ball's not here. Oh, 8 Ball sometimes takes a minute to wake up. I'll ask him. 8 Ball. Hey, bud, you there? Let's see if 8 Ball wakes up. There he is. The 8 Ball says, look deep in your heart and you will see the answer. Okay. Okay. B, U2, L, F2. Oh, D2, R2. Not quite an R2, D2. Disappointing. Okay. That was so stressful, all that microphone stuff. Coronier's racing me blindfold. Nice. Okay, here we go. Let's click on the right screen. Ooh, look at that. I got a pair and I used it, James. No, and I broke it. Whoops. Oh, no. I tried to be smart and I tried to tell James about it. It's gone very poorly. This is no sub 20. That's no moon. Whoa. 23? 29? Oh. So what happened there was I had a free pair in the top layer. I had a lovely free pair, red and green with white, because I always solve on white because I'm not very smart. Red and green. It was sitting there in the top layer and I put it in and then I realized I hadn't aligned my centers and then I knocked it out. So I had to put it back, move it out, then align my centers, then go back and put it in. And it was ugly and it cost me 10 seconds apparently. I haven't said hello to everyone in the chat yet. Sorry about that. It's a bit rude, hey. Are we going to see RTD2 today? I'm not sure if we are. What drink company? Oh no, I'm staying hydrated with a little Powerade. I like a Powerade Zero. Purple's not my usual go-to. I like a blue, but they didn't have any. I can live with this. Yep. Took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to recognize that G perm, but I'll take a 21 with a G. 21 with a G I can live with. All right, what are we looking at here? We're counting a 21. Well, we're counting a 21. That's all we're doing at the moment, isn't it? Ugh. Gross. How can I make this bigger so I can see all the things? I'm not good at this. Hey, like, what am I doing here? Why am I even on the internet? Scramble copied? What? Sure. Let's try this. Have we got one? Yo! Christian spotted that. The F, U, B prime, D prime, R2, D2. R2, D2, it 2! Double R2, D2. R2, U2, F2. Yep, G perm cooked me. This is a very similar scramble to last time. Sure. That was ugly. Where are ya? I need ya. Now more than ever. Oh, yeah, okay. V maybe? 22. Dang it! Dang it! Counting a 21 and a 22. The sub 20 is never going to happen. Can I get a 21 today? What do I need for a 21? I need another very low... I need a 20, really, don't I? For a 9... No, the 19 doesn't count. Oh, I'd probably need a sub 20 again. Woof. All right, come on then. We need to count a sub 20. Did I count a sub 20 last week? Is that what happened? I can't remember. Oh, this is garbage. Not ideal. Not optimal. Oh. Ah. Stinky. 22. 22 and a half, average of 5. That's pretty stinky. I'd probably take that in a competition and be like, meh. Couldn't count that 19. Couldn't count that sub 20, everyone. What are we looking at? General G-perm hate. That's good. I like to see that. Lots of people. Lots of sub 10. Lots of speedsters in the chat today. Gosh. Cournier with a 17 blind. Very impressive. Very nice. Very nice, everyone. Very nice. Very impressive. Gosh, listen, you know what happened? Oh no, there's a scene I haven't checked. Oh no. There's a bunch of scenes I haven't checked, I've just realized. But what I've realized is we haven't thanked our sponsors, and we have an actual sponsor, everyone. Oh my days. Oh my days, an actual real-life sponsor that isn't just one of my little companies. We are brought to you today by Cubing Life Academy, everyone. Cubing Life Academy, Antoine Canton, Tommy Cherry, Ben has a last name too, and Patrick Ponce are waiting for your call, waiting for you to join one of their live streams so you can learn to cube like an absolute champion. Go and learn to be a hella advanced, super speedy speed cuber at Cubing Life Academy. Use code Cubecast to save 5% as well. Today's show, of course, brought to you by speedcube.co.nz, New Zealand and Australia's favourite speedcube store. While you're there, pick up some cube sauce. It's good for your cubes. And look, it's blue again, everyone. Hooray! Hooray for that. If you don't live in New Zealand and Australia, you can also buy some merch. Do you like merch? Do you like speedcube merch that doesn't suck? You can get it from lastlyacubing.com. Every little bit helps to support the store. I also have another sponsor in the work, which is very, very, very exciting. I can't quite reveal it yet because we don't have all the details, but all I can say is it is confirmed, and I think it might come as a bit of a surprise for anyone watching. Right. Hey, we had a poll going in the chat, didn't we? Time for 4-pad mode in cubing? Wow. Wow, look at this split. I mean, you can see it if you're watching live. You can see the split. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. 48 to 52 from 33 votes. That's very interesting. That's super interesting. Very close. Wasn't expecting that. Very close and interesting and exciting. Now, someone in the chat going, has Kit been on yet? No, he hasn't. I don't think Kit's finished work yet. I'm going to be doing a Discord call. Well, we're going to be kind of testing the Discord with James. Sorry, James, you're like my Discord test subject. That's going to be like our... that's like our... What's it? Our headliner. FTO is the headliner, but we are probably going to spend just as much time on the... on the what's it? On the... frame counting stuff. Okay. New cube alert, everyone. New cube alert. I might be, this is very exciting, I might be the first person on this, apart from the original video. I might be the first person making a video on this. I'm so relevant. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy how relevant I am. But check this out. There has been a new version of a cube quite close to my heart. The YS3M. Huameng. Look, Huameng V2 is the name of the video. Yo, whoa! Did I have a lot of subscribers all of a sudden? Right, that's incredible. I've had 3 subscribers today already. Amazing. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. This guy here is YiHeng Wang, the 347 guy. And he is ripping on what is reported to be the Huameng V2. And that's a cube that's kind of close to my heart, actually. And I'll tell you why. This music's kind of a vibe, hey? So he does honestly a pretty average. Pretty average. I think our man YiHeng is spending more time on designing cubes than solving cubes at the moment, potentially. He's a grown-ass man, to be fair. So this is YiHeng himself in the comments saying new flagship cube here. Let's give that a little like. Ding. And someone's questioning the sub count. Yeah, maybe it's broken. I think I saw someone who was already subbed. Everything's broken today. Can we just assume that everything's broken on the stream today? So this is YiHeng Wang, the designer of the Huameng YS3M. And why that's a cube that's close to my heart, it's because when I was experimenting with this kind of content, I have a second channel, which you are not obliged to subscribe to because I'm not convinced I'll ever upload there again. What the heck? I can't find it. No, that's not working. Where the heck? Oh, there he is. There's my little second channel, Boomer Cuber. So then I made a few videos reacting to things just to see if people would like it. Look at that, 2K views that got, for goodness sake. I made this epic edit when I got the YS3Ms. Look at this guy, what a goober. This is like the reveal, but I sort of had lots of fun making content around this cube because it was coming out at the time that I was doing this stuff. And that's why I have a little soft spot for it. Look at these OG edit. Oh, I've got my nails done. That's when my daughter Georgie was all about doing my nails. That's what was going on in my life. So yeah, YS3M, close to my heart. I quite liked it. I've lost my one that I had. I don't know where it's gone. I must have given it to someone or done something with it. But anyway, there's people talking on Reddit. What are they saying? The real Uncle Frank is the original poster, so they can have the credit for finding this. New 3x3 by YiHeng Wang and Moyu under the Huameng line. He doesn't say if it will be called the YS3M V2 or not. He just says Huameng V2. That's a very good point, actually. It might not be the YS3M. The original was really cool. This is a very good point here by Powerful Way. Unfortunately, it was basically buried under the number of 3x3s that came out from Moyu. That's a very valid point. It just disappeared under the RS3V5. I really liked it. I really liked the YS3M. I think I used Celeritas when I set it up, and it was pretty hot, honestly. And then I think this is generally just people complaining about Moyu, and then people getting in a panic about the 20 magnet ball core apparently having an issue. I remember the Super RS3M ball core having an issue at the factory and then cracking and stuff, but not the YS3M being a huge issue. I don't know. But anyway, that's exciting, isn't it? Basically just breaking news. Moyu made another cube again. That's the headline, everyone. Moyu made another cube again. Sure thing, Moyu. Sure thing. But nice to see that. We'll see if it's is it a YS3M? I don't know. notmecubes. I think that what we're going to see is the YS3M, RS3M, and way along lines will all be really good cubes with all different feels. They do have like remotely different feels. They are different. It's just an awful lot of them. Hey, just an awful lot of them. Okay, listen, everyone. Let's get into some meat, shall we? Let's get into some timer, some frames. Okay, let's start by looking at David's video. We're gonna watch this. This popped up on my feed the other day, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Remotely snarky, just slightly snarky, just a really good amount of snark. Anyway, let's watch David's video.
Of doing thousands of solves and not making any progress?
I am tired of that.
Are you looking for an easy way to improve your times?
I am looking for that.
What if I told you there is one simple trick that will lower your times instantly? First, put your hands down on the timer. Then grab the cube while sliding your hands along the timer and keeping the contact with it the whole time.
Less legal.
Now you can lift your hands off the timer and begin your solve. This is how it looks at a normal speed. You may say, wait, the WCA regulations say that you must keep your hands flat on the timer and you can't touch the cube while starting the solve. Isn't it a +4 penalty? Well, you may be right, but this technique has already been used officially by fast Y2 solvers. For example, in the recent 0.78 world record average by YiHeng Wang, or in 0.53 single by Ellery Dillon. And additionally, according to the WCA, it's perfectly okay to do this at an official competition, since it can only be spotted by analyzing the video frame by frame. Okay, so now you might wonder how much faster it actually is. I did some attempts on this 4-move scramble and compared it with normal timer starts. I found out that on average, my times with this technique were about 1500 faster. That's a huge difference for top Y2 solvers. And
that
who knows, maybe one day we will see an insane world record single thanks to it.
Okay. First of all, thank you, David. So, what have we learned? What have we learned so far? There is some speculation, all right, that young YiHeng's timer starts were potentially an issue. Let's look at regs first. Okay, let's have a look at that. Here we go. We're gonna look at this this little document here. Okay. Hold on a minute. Is that the one I want to see? No, it's not the one I want to see. Wrong link. Never mind. Where is the reg about? Why haven't I linked the actual reg about timer starts? For goodness sake, timer start. Is it fingers? Yeah, here we go. The competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor surfaces of the stack mat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that is closer to the competitor. Penalty, 2 seconds. The competitor must have no physical contact with the puzzle while starting the solve. Penalty, 2 seconds. So there's our +4. All right. Not the funky trousers, but a +4 for 2 penalties, A4B and A4B1. I think we probably need to look at the videos themselves. I'm gonna do this like right inside inside Premiere Pro. Honestly, is this gonna work? Yeah, it is. Great. Okay, cool. There's Zane. We'll look at him in a minute. So here's Young. What? I got desktop audio there. That was weird. I'm not sure what that sound was that came through. Apologies if that has caused an issue. OBS Live. James saw his vid in the recommendations. That's hype. So here's our man doing his thing. Like, it doesn't look crazy bad. Right? It doesn't look particularly wild. I don't think. At first glance, like, I don't think they look particularly bad. I do just want to say as well, before we get any further into it, it is incredibly impressive because there's some crazy fast turning and his TPS is outrageous. Okay? Absolutely outrageous. James is saying you can frame count on YouTube. I'm sure you can. I haven't worked out how, but I'm sure you can. But I wanted to be absolutely sure that I knew the frame rate that I was watching as well, you know? So I know that that this video is 30 frames a second because I've been able to look at it within. He's so fast off the timer. Like, he's not like... He's just... Oosh! And that one looks very clean. Like, that one looked so clean. Especially the left hand, but the right hand, arguably, is an issue, potentially. The solves are so good anyway. Like, they are really, really impressive and incredible. I have some issues though, because there's a couple of things at play. One of them being this little cheeky frame that I put up yesterday. So if I individually frame count backwards, here's where it looks like the hands are coming off the timer. And then then the timer's not starting. Nothing's happening on that little timer screen. I know the batteries are faded. Nothing's happening there until he's turning, right? Whoa, Dauntless. Period and comma, full stop and comma, are -1 frame. That's very interesting. So this was to demonstrate that there is a delay for sure between the timer and the display. We do know that there is a lag. We know that for sure. My point of demonstrating that is that there are issues with frame counting, I suppose, is my issue. And so if we look at YiHeng's first solve, for example, and we're looking at LCD displays here as well. So if you look at this one, oh, maybe it's not the first solve. There was a solve where it goes from 0.088 to 0.033. Like, it looks like it's counting backwards, you know? Like, LCD displays are not ideal. And I don't think necessarily anyone's suggesting that that is what we're using. But you can just... Frame counting is... So there you see, you've got 0.08, and then the next frame along is 0.41 because LCD screens are not ideal. I understand that the display has lag. I just wanted I wanted everyone else to understand that as well before we get further into it, you know? So I'm not disagreeing with anyone so far or anything like that. But where there does seem to be a little bit of ambiguity, I suppose my point was, like, my point of bringing that up is not to say that everyone's wrong because there are delays. My point is, I think in this point, probably my point is to back up the WCA in their decision to not have, or their guideline to not have video evidence submitted after the fact as proof of shenanigans on the timer. Do you see what I mean by that? Like, I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I'm just saying, oh, I think maybe this is part of the reason why the WCA aren't looking at it. And Ibrahim, I understand that your frame count ignores the display. Something that yours does ignore, I think, potentially, and we're gonna actually use that in a minute to have a look at something. If you're looking at a timer start issue, I think weirdly you have to actually start frame counting from the stop, but you have to count backwards, and yours didn't use stops. But anyway, we'll get to that. We're gonna look at this. We're literally gonna look at this. James saying that's not the guideline. Regs explicitly allow video evidence. I don't think I've seen that. I thought it was precedent that allowed video or precedent that didn't allow video? Because we're in the regs right now. Give me something to search for. I'll look for it. If the competitor resets, because there is a reg here about video, which I didn't know and I thought was a bit harsh. You're not allowed to submit a result from video if someone resets the timer. That's kind of harsh, eh? Right, where's the other video? Decisions about an incident may be supported with video or photographic analysis at the discretion of the WCA delegate. Incidents include execution of event procedures, interference or facility interruptions, equipment malfunction. So is it frame counting specifically that isn't allowed? Is it frame counting specifically that isn't allowed? Because we're gonna take a look, and we're gonna have to do some maths here, and I'm gonna have to write this down. Okay, so everyone, what's the first? Let's just take the first solve, okay? For argument's sake, let's take the first solve. So 0.70. Solve 1. We're not gonna do all of them, because I don't think that's necessary. 0.70 is the solve. Now, what we need to do is try and find the stop, because the stop's much easier to spot than the start, and it's the start that's in questions. Here we go. The physicist cube, the precedent is about reviewing the video in slow motion and or frame by frame analysis. Regs do not explicitly say that frame by frame analysis is allowed. The precedent from a previous instance says it is not allowed. Right. So there has been an instance where this was not allowed. WRC policy is to watch it at full speed, i.e. what a judge could catch in real time. StuQ, problem is, why would a top solver film any of their solves if it could only be used against them, like a Drew Brad situation? I don't know that situation exactly. Let's take a look anyway. So I want to show you the screen first of all, don't I? So I'm gonna look at look for the stop frame. I think the stop frame is probably that one. But let's do some maths first of all, okay? So, and I'm gonna show my working here, because I want you guys, but like almost all of you are smarter than I am, so I want you to check my maths here. This is a 30 frames per second video. Now we know that this solve is 0.7 seconds, so to get that in frames, we multiply it by 30, right? Which gives us 21. Okay, so solve 1, 0.70 should be 21 frames. Does anyone disagree with my mathematics so far? Okay, we know what this should be. James making the valid point. High time we stop relying on solvers themselves for their own video, lol. Yeah, true, because I was looking for a video of someone who does really good timer starts, and I think Dwayne Ramos from New Zealand, he's like fingers like this. Oosh, there's absolutely no ambiguity. However, he doesn't film, he films off the desk, so you can't see his timer display, you can't see anything, you know. The physicist cuber include hundredths? I don't know. Has anyone checked my maths yet? Are we happy with my maths, right? 0.7 times 30 gives me 21, so I should have 21 frames here, okay? So this is where I'm, I'm fairly sure. That looks like the stop point to me. Display doesn't matter though. I suppose it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to count 21 backwards. This is solve 1, Ibrahim. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I've put the wrong screen on. Let's do that again, everyone. Okay, let's say I'm fairly sure that that is the stop frame there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Ouch. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. So I have let's recap on what I've done so far, okay? This is solve 1, it's 0.70. That looks like the stop frame there. So everyone's saying solve 1 is 0.74. This is literally the video. And that's the first solve. Like this is the average, right? Was I on solve 2? Oh, I was on solve 2. Okay, let's go back to the start. Far out, 0.74. 0.74 divided by, no, times 30 equals 22.2. That's slightly problematic, isn't it? 22.2 frames is what we're looking at. Apologies, everyone. Okay. Let's find that stop frame. I'm going to say that's the stop frame. We happy with that? Thank you, Ota. Sorry about that. Sorry for not for not believing you. I was convinced I was on solve 1, but here we go. Okay, so solve 1, 0.74. 0.74 times 30, 22.2 frames is what we should be seeing. Okay, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Those are very much hands on cubes, aren't they? .35 Dauntless is saying. So between that frame and that frame is where the timer is starting. Okay. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is where we are between those two. It's the literal pickup. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, you can see a PAM. You can see a PAM here. What I'm looking at now is the 4 frames before, the timer touch. Okay, so let me demonstrate what I've done again. Okay, because I want to be absolutely clear what we're looking at here. I think I like that one as the stop. I think that one as the stop. It's a 0.74 solve. 0.74 times 30, which is the frame rate of the video, gives me 22.2 or 22.35. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 are the two it's between. So he's actually got the cube off the table. If my maths is correct, I'm going to do a big disclaimer. I want this to be a disclaimer. I'm a goober, and I may be doing this wrong, but I am going off the best information that I have right now. So this is where the timer starts according to the frame count calculation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames back is where it looks like he's coming off. It's where it looks like he's coming off the timer. And I want to just be clear about what we're arguing about here. So I said 5, so 5 frames. Now, to get time, I divide by 30, right? So 5 frames is 0.17 seconds. Oh! Dang it! It's not insignificant. And I don't like that. It's not insignificant. Is it? 0.16 seconds is not insignificant in a 0.74 second solve. Because you know, that should be a 0.8. Nope. 0.9. Right? If you take 0.74, so let's just add it. So 0.16 plus 0.74. Yeah, it should be would be a 9 if it was a clean start. Oh, Kit's on the line. Bear with me, everyone. Okay, so unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, it is kind of backed up, isn't it? So, but yeah, it's tough because even then, like using the frame count to see the stops and starts is still kind of mucky. Consensus saying it saves around 0.15. The physicist cuber, 0.17 is more than the amount the WR dropped. It could be the entire reason this is even a WR if consistent across the counting solves. Yeah, looking strictly at the solving. Let's do one of Zane's. And let's be fair, okay? Because I've got Zane's video here for exactly this reason. Let's just take, and I don't really care, but let's take Zane's first solve. Whose comp was this? Whose competition was this? And who was responsible for the batteries? Because, sort yourself out. This is gross. That said, let's find the first solve. I want to do exactly the same thing to one of Zane's solves as I did to YiHeng solves. Because I don't think this happened to Zane at the time. Okay. Let's just, this is Zane's first solve from this previous WR. And what is the time? 0.84. All right. Zane. 0.84. All right. Calculatron, where are you? So 0.84 seconds multiplied by 30, because this is another 30 frames per second video. It's 25.2. At least that's how it's downloaded to my machine. Okay. 25.2 frames. Ibrahim's saying that Ibrahim's coming in looking at the average. He's saying with regard to YiHeng's solve that apparently solve 1 was the biggest offender. That was the most egregious one, is what people are saying. What we are looking at for Zane's first solve here at 0.84 seconds is 25.2 frames per second. So if everything's good with YiHeng's solves, then we should see an extra 4 or 5 frames on Zane's as well. Right? I think I like that frame for the stop. Let me know if you think I'm being unfair on that for the stop. Okay. So if we count 25 frames back, we shouldn't see any fingers on cubes here, everyone. I don't want to do it. I don't like this, for the record. 25.2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And 26. So we're between these two frames and there's absolutely not a finger on the cube there. James now saying solve 1 was the only one where the solving time itself was longer than the recorded time. We need to check that. We need to check that. Gosh dang it, everyone. Give me work to do here. The Zane's looks clean. Zane's solve 1 looks clean. Let's go to solve 2, which is the which is the one that I was claiming was 0.1. All right, here we go. Here's the 7.0. Solve 2 is 0.70. Calculatron, I want you to work this out for me. 0.7 times 30 is 21. Okay, so we're looking for 21 frames. Let's find a nice clean stop frame. He does a sort of sweep when he stops. Nothing wrong with that, but that looks like a good stop frame to me. Stu, I'm going to do it individually just so there's no ambiguity in what I'm doing as well. Hey, 21 frames. 21 frames exactly, was it? Yeah, 21 frames exactly, says the calculator. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, dang it. It happened again. It happened again, everyone. That's sad. I want to before we move on. Oh, Kit's in the chat now as well. Kit saying probably stopped before that. Okay. So Kit's questioning the stop frame. You reckon that's a better stop frame? That's the one I looked at. So there's one frame in it. Oh my gosh. Kit now coming in saying also potentially not a clean stop. Right, I'm going to wrap this up so we can bring Kit in. What have we learned, everyone? It's hard to tell. Now, okay, here we go. Basically, we might have some more chats with James and Kit about this when they come in. I might just have to drop them both in the chat at the same time. Timer stops and starts on video are hard to see. And I think that still backs up what I'm saying, that frame by frame is the best we've got, but it's still not actually good enough to prove too much. People will argue with that. And that's fair. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for the WCA and the regs right now, you know? So what have we learned? We know that there's a delay on the timer screen, but people have pointed out that's not necessarily what we're talking about in this instance. The video evidence is hard because it's not consistent and different frame rates are a thing. Honestly, what I'm left with right now is looking at these and frame counting them out. I don't love what I'm seeing. That makes me sad because he's just a little kid as well. But if it's fair for everyone, then that's the same rules for everyone, you know. But I wanted to show you Ibrahim's document because it's pretty cool what he's done. He's gone through. I'll drop a link, I'll drop a little link to this in the chat right now if you want to go and have a look. Ibrahim's put this doc together. Frame counting a whole bunch of people's solves. But I don't like your method, Ibrahim. I love what you've done, but I don't like your method because you're using the first frame where you can see that the cube is solved. And I think really for this, you should be looking at the stop frame, right? The timer stop frame to see a distance between, if you're really trying to look for the timer start, I think you need to be using the stop, but that's just my take. Might be wrong. I wanted to bring up, someone posted a solution. Someone fixed it, everyone. Don't worry. Someone posted a solution. Here we go. Mystery Cuber 6546 is the hero that we needed. I am personally fine with discussions on and resolving this ASAP. Well, that's great. Thank you for your permission. Moving forward, regardless of the outcome, we should probably need every delegate, coach, top cuber, and your mom, if she's a coach, around the world to take a free masterclass course on timer starts and stop, frame counting solves, frame by frame analysis, and all possible timer stop start abuses under the sun. Fail it and you are not allowed, or at least not recommended, to compete if you are a top cuber. If you still insist on competing despite the failure, you will be told that you risk this potential disqualification. If not disqualified, you risk being regarded by notable members of the community as not legitimate, perhaps worse than disqualification. This course should be included in all cubing courses, in all cubing or cubing life academies around the world, and translated to as many languages as practically possible. Your new sponsor should probably start offering this free masterclass course soon. Well, there you go. Have a look out on Cubing Life Academy, bringing you Cubecast today. Head to Cubing Life Academy, cubing.life, and use code Cubecast for 5% off any one of their amazing courses, including how to start the timer properly. It absolutely doesn't include that because that's not a real course. But anyway, thank you for that little sponsor segue. I appreciate that. Did I have a little conclusion here that I wanted to say? Did I want to leave you with some dad thoughts? I don't think so. I think really all I'm going to comment on is what we've seen. I'm really, really sad that another world record is being torn apart like this. Like, is there no trust in the world? Do we not trust anyone? That's sad. It's tough. Based on what I have seen today, based on what we have seen, based on the maths that we have done, and I asked you in the chat to correct my maths if I was wrong, and nobody did. So I feel like I probably did okay with that. With the frames that I've got, I think we did all right. Unfortunately, I can see what people are talking about, and that makes me sad. Wow. Okay. Friends, talk among yourselves for a minute, okay? Because we're going to try and set up our Discord call here. I think I'm going to add James and Kit into this, and maybe we'll just have a bit of a yarn about FTO all together. Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, James.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you and I can hear you. Can everyone on the stream hear you? Kit's here as well. Hey, Kit.
Howdy. How we doing?
Real good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, I really appreciate you just saying yes, because I just kind of called you out of the blue. I'm just going to find my... just going to find the right screen. Oh, dear. That's no use at all. How about I just chuck you up here, eh? Bear with me. Bear with me, chaps. I'm just going to continue.
Try to do something here to
do your thing.
The glare in the back too. I've never actually done a video call in this room before yet. So.
Oh, okay. You sort your background. I'll just continue to have an absolute nightmare of a stream. That's what I'll do. I've had audio issues. I've not enjoyed the outcome of what we've just talked about either. I don't need to have my own little camera on here. There you go, everyone. Welcome to James and Kit. Shall we let's just wrap up what we've been talking about there. I don't know if you caught everything we talked about there, but it would be pretty silly of me to not take some advice from people who have been or are currently delegates on this. What are your reckons about what we've seen?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I was awake when this happened. I saw it drop. Rob Yao and I were talking on Discord about this basically as soon as it happened. We watched the timer starts, and then I dropped a shit post in Cubic's friends.
I saw that.
Basically, yeah. It to me, like, it seemed right away that just there was something fishy going on, and I just based on what I've seen, I hope the record does not stand.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think it sets a good precedent.
Yeah, I've personally this record has kind of changed my stance a little bit. Like, I used to kind of agree with the WRC policy of like not going frame by frame, because I think a lot of times that is unreasonable if it's just out by like one frame or something, because it's like a lot of the time the competitor wouldn't even know, like they'd be trying to do a clean stop, but if it's like your hands are slightly up, then it's like technically illegal. But I think this has made me revisit it, because like the fact that those starts look so clean in real time, and then you go back and you're like, oh no, you're saving like 0.15 a second, like that's the entire margin that the record was broken by. I think, either you need to allow this sort of analysis or just switch to format mode. Like, I think this has made it pretty clear that it's time for some kind of change.
Yeah. I'm not the supreme ruler of the WCA, and I'm really not as involved as I used to be. But if I were the supreme ruler, I would say that we need to start, putting funds into equipment and say 2025, we're switching to 4-pad, and anyone who needs help with equipment, we're going to help.
I think from what I've seen then around the discussion of 4-pad, the biggest concern is what happens to previous records and stuff, like because it was not well received what happened with speed stacks, right? I don't know if you know the speed stacking stuff very well or not.
Mm-hmm. I think that the main thing to me is that this is not. I know we've just from this, it's like Ellery's solves. I think keep getting talked about a ton as a result of this with the 1.5 average or something that he got, and
the single as well.
And the single, yeah, the 0.5 single, yeah. So like I know that there are a lot of solves out there probably did have a good amount of sliding going on, but I don't think that as it stands currently we have as big of a problem as speed stacks had. Like if you watch some of the 2-pad era speed stacks like competitions and what it's just like they're not even afraid of cheating, and they were almost emboldened to cheat based on the speed stacks statements on what was and wasn't allowed, and then they just U-turn and said nope, we're not doing that. I don't think we need to do a records reset. I think that sure there are so many irregularities in our database that we certainly just don't know about, that I am comfortable saying that if we make this switch now, I don't think we need to reset anything. I think that our switching to 4-pad is just making sure that our timer starts and stops are within regulations.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying there. I don't think I've heard a good argument for not using 4-pad, actually. You know what I mean? Like, apart from people freaking out about a reset.
My biggest thing, biggest reservation about 4-pad is we are now in an era where SpeedStack's patent for the 2-pad timers has expired, and so we can, if we want to, develop our own timers or use third-party ones or whatever, whereas we couldn't previously. But SpeedStacks has a patent on the 4-pad timers until 2037, if I recall correctly. So switching to that would mean another 13 years of SpeedStacks only timers, which should make it 8-pad.
There should be an 8-pad timer. So you have to have fingertips, and it scans your fingers, because we have the technology now. What's that system we're using with the really clever system that I forget the name of it?
Cubecast.
Yes, Cubecast. Is that what it?
Timer base? What is yeah. Are you talking the one that's that records times and submits it?
Yeah. So let's essentially, when you're signing up for the WCA accounts now, I think I want full biometric data. I want all your fingerprints. We're getting there are no problems with this. It's a perfect solution. Give me all your biometric data, hand it over, and then we'll just get your all 8 fingerprints on the timers, and we're good to go. Fixed it.
Screaming. I just imagining a good amount of Americans and Europeans screaming about my freedom and my rights, but
yeah.
Also regarding the record reset thing, I personally don't think it would be a huge issue, like Kit says, but if it is, it's still only going to be for 3 events max. Even if even if it makes a 0.1 or 0.2 difference, that only matters for 202 parent cube, maybe clock, but everything else is 0.1. That doesn't matter really. People improve by that margin in 6 months, so it's 3x3, whatever.
Someone else saying, can we just switch to smart cubes? We're still a while off that with the tech. We're still a long way off that. Don't rate it, Kit.
That to me, just even if we get the tech, I think it creates such a financial barrier to competitions that I would just really not want to see that happen.
Yeah,
it introduces a whole bunch of other issues. As soon as you're using a smart cube, you can connect it to your phone and tell what the scramble is while it's in the scramble area, and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, they'd all have to be connected to one central device. It's not going to happen. That's silly. But anyway, I appreciate the idea.
Too many security issues with that.
Way too many.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your input on that, and thank you so much for joining today to talk about WTF is FTO, everyone. What is this dumb little puzzle that I keep hearing about that Deanne Sheng... Oh, there's one, look. There's another one.
FTO in the
This
wild.
is the one in the thumbnail, I think.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah.
Now, I thought what would be a good shape of doing things today is, James, there are people who don't really know what it is. So can we go right back to basics and talk about what it is, how it turns, and where it came from, and essentially the puzzle arc, you know what I mean? And then I want to talk,
Yeah.
I'll probably bring Kit in at that point, and I want to really dig into what it means for the WCA.
Yeah, so I mean, Kit's more experienced with the community than I am, but FTO stands for face turning octahedron. So it's this puzzle here, like Kit and I showed. Face turning octahedron, it's a mouthful, but it's basically because there are different puzzles that look the same way as this one that turn slightly differently. But yeah, like the name suggests, it turns on the faces like that, rather than like about the corners, which some other puzzles do. But yeah, it's been around for a long time. I think it was first patented in like the 80s or 90s, but the first prototypes popped up in the mid 2000s. And then there were like 3 companies that produced old versions of it, but like these are old versions that aren't really designed for speed solving. And then a community is sort of built up around solving it over the last like 5 years. So it was founded by Ben Streeter, a Californian cuber. I think in late 2019 he just started solving it because it's like kind of fun. And then early 2020 he taught some other people. And then once lockdown hit, I guess people were stuck at home and they weren't so concerned with WCA events because there were no comps. So a bunch of other people got into speed solving this. And it's really fun. It's kind of like this weird mutant Yao solve. Like it feels like a solve in 4x4 in some ways, but it's like quite different in some other ways. A lot of people when they pick it up, they can't even like figure out how to turn it at first, and it takes a while for it to really click. But yeah, it's a really fun, unique sort of solving experience. But as I mentioned in my review, it's always been held back by the hardware because for the longest time, the only option were those like really old ones that weren't designed for speed solving at all, which you can mod to be like usable but not good.
And there were some like 3D printing mutant puzzles as well, right?
Yep,
yeah,
that's
so
what this one is.
Yeah, so it's called the Rex TO. So Chi released their version of a Rex Cube in mid 2021 or early 2021. And the Rex Cube is actually just a cubic version of the FTO, which means you can take a Rex Cube, like cut some parts off, print out some 3D print extensions, stick them on, and then you get a FTO which is better than the old ones. Yeah, here's my one.
Yeah. Basically, these corners here are the centers of the Rex Cube or the GE Super Ivy Cube because we need a new name for it. So these become the centers if you turn this into a Rex Cube. Edges stay edges, but they rotate. So like because if you imagine this is a center, this is a center, the stickers are actually like here and here.
Okay.
So it's an edge, but it's like the other way. And then triangles are still the triangles. Yeah, it's hard to visualize. But it's like if you imagine basically taking all of the corners, there's 6 of them. Those become the faces. And then if you imagine taking like the faces, those become the corners. And there's 8 faces, so you get a cube-like puzzle.
Woo! So you're 3D printing the entire outside of it, right? I can't remember what an Ivy cube looks like.
It's a Super Ivy Cube. You can even see like we reuse the same internals here. Conveniently, the triangles of the Super Ivy Cube, they had 2 parts that screw on. So you just have the white part is my 3D printed part, and the black part was from the Super Ivy Cube.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I felt that was like a weird stroke of luck. The fact that it was like this mechanism that was just designed that you could take the outside caps off for the most part.
Yep.
And really weird, but cool.
Yeah, it was. It almost seemed like she was going to release an FTO. Like it was like, oh, they had this planned. And yet, because when we saw this, we like a bunch of people from our community were like messaging them or like trying to reach out on social media to be like, hey, are you planning on making an FTO? We see that you have like the literal core of one, and then they send back a message saying it would be impossible. So. I think it must, as James said, been a pure stroke of luck that they made it this way. That were just the pieces literally just are completely separable by screws, with the exception of the edges. The edges you had to glue on, and
Yeah,
like,
and, like, saw
like,
the
saw
original
the
stuff.
saw the edges in half and like glue them on to the new ones. But which sounds crazy, but without getting too into the details, it's actually not as hard as it sounds like it would be. There's a lot of wiggle room on sawing it.
Yeah.
Right.
But the important thing is just like, even with that, that was still a lot of work, and it was pretty expensive
Yes.
as well. Like, it was like upwards of $50 right, for most people getting their hands on them, which,
About
as
that.
far as speedcubes are concerned, is pretty rough. And also, they weren't that good still. Like, they were okay,
Yeah.
but like they weren't like modern speedcube level tech. So
50
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
$50 for an unusable speed cube, essentially, is what you're.
Oh,
you're
it was
trying to
usable,
sell.
but like
It was usable.
not
It was
good.
like from like the Rubik's Revenge to like the first Moyu like Aosu 4x4, whatever
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was. Weisu,
Yeah.
or whatever that was in like 2014, the first one that came out. So it's like you went from like the dark ages of cubing to like beginning of speed cubes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So taking us up to today, then, the DNFing.
Yes.
We're all big fans of the DNFing. Can we say that?
I would say so.
It's a big step up. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. Both our reviews that we put on YouTube, we both talked about the popping problem with these.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and it's really just the
There she goes.
that. And it's really, to me, just really a fatal design problem that they made, where the layer itself doesn't interlock with the middle layer as you turn it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that is a problem. So it undoes itself.
Yeah, basically the only thing holding the layer in is the edge. So the only thing, I'll try to demonstrate this here as I'm speaking, but basically the only thing that's holding it in is the torpedo of the edge. So as soon as an edge pops, nothing is holding that layer in.
Okay.
So other than that, it feels great until that happens.
Yeah, right.
But it's so rare, especially if you keep your tensions tight. It's so rare that I'm not too concerned about it. But it is like, come on, like this. I feel like this. You could have seen this one coming.
So it can't be changed by tightening, or does tightening make it just unpleasant to solve on?
The stock tensions I felt were a bit unpleasant. You really have to like barely loosen the thing to get it to be just kind of nice, and it's a really fine line that you walk where between like, you know, usable, loose and nice, but then pops all the time, and then just really rough, kind of too tight, in my opinion.
It's surprising how like small the range of tensions is. Like, I think from out of the box, I loosened mine like an eighth of a turn or something, and it's like out of the box pretty much doesn't pop, but the corner cutting is like rough. I didn't think it was super good, and then loosen it by an eighth of a turn, and suddenly the corner cutting is decent, but it pops. So it's a really small range in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, like, the popping thing is, I mean, it's not ideal, but like the fact that this is cheap and it's decent and it's like mass produced, widely available, this is such a big step up anyway. Like, the popping doesn't matter that much for me, because it's like now everyone can get their hands on an FTO if they want one, and it's pretty decent.
Yeah, right. It's like the hardware's like up and running now, in a mainstream kind of way.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll criticize things all day because that's kind of my nature. I'm critical of things, but that being said, like, I don't use my Rex anymore, even though I would say that it has less catastrophic popping, but it is much nicer to turn. Just honestly, like, 3D printed plastic is infuriating. It absorbs lube like crazy, so I feel like
it's basically porous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 10 solves later. I feel like I need more lube now. So it's kind of nice to actually have a puzzle that isn't, you know, just an absolute like lube destroyer. Also, to demonstrate here what I was kind of talking about, the basically it's like if you look at like a layer here, you can kind of see like the internal pieces are like sloped this way.
Right.
So when you put this layer into the puzzle, it's like all the pieces, if like one edge pops out, none of these interlocking parts here are actually holding it in.
Okay. So it's like,
that's
who's got that really famous 6x6 pop where it just turns into a liquid?
Hayes.
Kevin Hayes.
Kevin Hayes.
So you're
Yeah.
looking at a situation like that where one piece comes out and you're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
If this thing pops, the solve is over, like completely over. But
so
I don't know. I've broken tons of PBs with it.
well, that's great. That's great. We'll
Yeah.
take that. Before
We'll
we
take
move,
that indeed.
there's one very, very important question for you both before we move on to talk about the WCA. At what point are you going to learn the new color scheme, or are you not?
Nope.
I mean, I've changed my color scheme to like a different one because I don't like gray being not opposite white. But I feel like once another cube comes out, or like several more cubes comes out, and I'm assuming they'll all have the same scheme, I might switch eventually then, because it'd be a pain to keep switching every time a new one comes out.
You'll be
but
interested
as
to
of right
see
now,
if Moyu brings one out or somebody else brings one out. It'd be really interesting to see which scheme they go for. If they go for the community, I assume there's just one accepted community scheme. Oh, dang
Not
it!
really.
everyone's got their own ones.
There's so the problem is that I'd say that the most common scheme is the one that was from Landland, just because when everybody kind of started up, that was the best puzzle available at the time. So if you were learning any scheme, you were learning the Landland. The issue was that a lot of people didn't really like the Landland scheme for various reasons, which is fair. And so like Ben Streeter, who's kind of the leader of this community, kind of has his own scheme, and it kind of inspired a lot of people to just kind of do whatever they wanted with their schemes.
Okay.
So I think
So
it's
I'd-
just like a throwback
yeah.
to the old days of cubing, right? When like all the puzzles are stickered, and so it's like much easier to change color schemes. And
Yeah.
like back in the old days, it was much more common for people to rock up to a comp and have their own weird schemes. Whereas now you almost never see that.
Yeah, especially
So
because
it's
like
just-
all 3x3s came as DIY kits. Like
Yeah.
you had to assemble them and sticker them anyway. So like whatever, I'm doing my own thing.
I did miss that part of Cuba. I think I came in a couple of years after the DIY kits, but yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about them. Okay, so the big thing I wanted to talk about, and the reason I reached out to you in particular, Kit, was hashtag FTO for WCA. Okay,
Right.
I want to know because in my time cubing, I've never seen an event added. I've seen feet taken away. I think potentially I saw magic taken away, but I wasn't really paying attention back then.
You wouldn't have.
No,
You
was that
wouldn't
a
have.
long time ago?
It was before Scube got added.
Oh gosh, okay. Well, there we are.
Yeah.
In that case, then I've never seen one. I've never seen that one, but I've seen feet go. I've never seen one added. I see a lot of people talking. Oh, is it gonna be a WCA event? It's gonna happen. It's gonna get added. What does that actually mean for the WCA? What has to happen? What's the process basically for adding an event? Right? I assume you've been around for an edition.
I have. The WCA in 2014 though is very different from the WCA in 2024. The 2014 WCA was before we were, incorporated as a nonprofit. It really was kind of this transition time where, early days of WCA was just, a bunch of friends getting together to solve puzzles. The WCA wasn't ever, I think, first incorporated as a nonprofit in the US in 2015 or 16, I think.
Wow. Okay.
I can't remember the exact year, but it was like mid-late 2010s. And so for over a decade, the WCA just operated as a website and, had its power from pure community trust. There was no true, bank account for the WCA or anything. It was just some people running a website and holding all the records. So getting Scube added in 2014 was a lot simpler than I feel like it is today, because really it was just a matter of, the WRC changing the regulations to add an event. There weren't as many committees and teams at the time either, so there wasn't really a lot of bureaucracy or just centralized delegation of powers. The board held a ton of power. They were the ones doing competition announcements at the time. Basically the board approved every single competition that would happen rather than the competition announcement team.
Right.
And so like a lot of these responsibilities that have now been delegated to teams were the board's power, but the regulations committee was one of the long-standing committees that existed. So adding the event was just the regulations committee and the board talking to each other.
Okay. So if because I guess now that WCA is incorporated, the board's job is governance rather than operations, just like any other organization. So they're not doing the nuts and bolts stuff like that. So what I'm hearing then is we don't really have a precedent and potentially not even a process.
Nope.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
There's really at this point no like I think there's a lot of people that are now talking about this from what I've seen, where people are trying to establish a process for what it means to be a WCA event, what criteria we should be looking at to add a WCA event. I've seen this discussion.
A hot take in that area as well.
Oh, what's that?
I was just gonna say I also have a bit of a hot take in that area, but I'll let you finish your thing first.
Okay. Yeah, okay. But yeah, so we're trying to, I think from what I've seen, that there's trying to be a drive to establish, what criteria should we look for in a WCA event. And like what the process for adding that should be, and how much of this should be based on community opinion versus, delegate opinion, what should be weighed more heavily. But there's really not a process currently. I think based on a lot of the criteria that would be reasonably considered, that FTO probably makes the best case out of any event. I recognize I'm biased because I love this puzzle, but I think just from an objective perspective, I do think it, has finally good hardware, good community interest, adds something unique to the current list of events, et cetera, where a lot of other proposed events have a lot of either logistical difficulties or don't add as much uniqueness, et cetera. So I think that whenever a process does get established, I would place my bet on FTO being the most likely event to be added, but I can't say for certain until I know that we have a process.
Someone in the chat just now saying community opinion would lead to mirror cubes.
I'm not sure about
and this is why community opinion shouldn't be the 100% of the opinion.
Just running that bias, right? James, you had a thought.
Yeah, well, I'll just add quickly. I mean, I think FTO is kind of following the same arc Scube did back in 2014, because Scube was like, it was an unofficial event and people were speed solving it and like running it at competitions and stuff. And then it just became more and more popular, and then eventually they reached out to the WCA. And that's kind of what's happening with FTO. Like, it's an unofficial event. People are like developing methods and speed solving it, holding it unofficially at competitions, and hopefully we see more and more of that until it gets popular enough that there's like a legitimate case. I think right now it's not really popular enough, in my opinion. Like, the FTO server's still only like 500-600 people. So I'd like to see, a lot more, but it's growing. But what I was saying about my hot take is I think a lot of people, they get hung up on sort of what Kit was talking about, like having a process. And people have been talking about this for like years. About like, we need like an established process for like, these are the steps you go through to make something an event. And maybe that'll take the form of like ephemeral events that we like try out for a while and they get phased out. Or maybe it'll be like tiered events, where it's like we have these tier 2 events that like might rise up the rankings. But people have been talking about this for a long time, and from what I've seen, there hasn't been a lot of progress made. And I think it's almost become more of like a barrier to entry, because it's like, if you frame the discussion like we need to have this process so that any event can be added, then like you need to work on that first. Whereas in my opinion, it's like, I don't see many realistic, like solid event proposals. I think since Scube, FTO is really the only one that has, something genuinely new to offer and community interest, and isn't like problematic to run the way like Teamblind is, for example.
Mirror blocks.
Or mirror blocks, yeah.
What's the issue with why are you hating on mirror blocks so hard? What's the issue?
Yeah, you go for it.
Oh yeah, sure. So it's basically this. You know how mirror blocks is like the core's shifted inside, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like the different layers become different sizes. The less that's shifted, the easier it is to turn. And so,
true.
Theoretically, the best mirror blocks, or like the easiest mirror blocks to solve, would be one where the alignment is like tiny, to the fact that it's like really hard to regulate hardware.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Had not
Yeah,
considered that.
additionally,
Also, it just doesn't
you could-
offer much new as well.
Yeah. Additionally, you could easily manufacture mirror blocks that have two like opposing sides that are the exact same length. And that would be the equivalent of like someone bringing up a 3x3 that has two identical blue sides. Which you could easily tell that is not going to be legal because, you can't have two sides with, the same or even like very similar sticker colors by the regulations. And because like all sides need to be like easily identifiable. So if you allow that basically for mirror blocks now, though, that would basically require delegates now to have like calipers basically to make sure that like
Get the verniers out. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just to me that is almost a non-starter of just how do you regulate what is a valid puzzle in mirror blocks. And on top of it is there's also going to be huge issues with that puzzle with ensuring scramble accuracy, because how do you make a good scramble image for mirror blocks, especially if there becomes non-standard ones with lengths of different sizes on each side?
It's a whole thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do see that. We manage it with square one, but I suppose it's not shape shifting in the same way that a mirror block is. You mentioned something. You mentioned something interesting with regards to a potential process. Like you have to define what a twisty puzzle is, I guess, before you can add it to the regs. Essentially, you have to define a puzzle. Is there an issue there, or is there a potential problem for an existing event there I'm talking about a clock basically, right? Because it's an outlier and it's the only one that doesn't have more than X colors. It doesn't have colors, and it's not twisty.
Not a twisty puzzle.
Is there a danger in defining what a twisty puzzle is that you eliminate certain events? Is that potentially something that's holding it back, or
I mean, for some events, it's definitely confusing dealing with the regs sometimes, where like, if, the puzzles section, like section 3 of the regs is very written under the assumption of like the 3x3 or puzzles similar to it. And some things in there don't make sense for clock. And a lot of things have to keep being reworded to make sure it doesn't get interpreted strangely for puzzles it shouldn't be interpreted for. So yeah, the regulations in many ways are kind of like this house of cards where if you pull one out or put one in, like something might topple that you have to now fix.
Yeah.
So there is some worry about that.
Because he kind of rewrote the regs a while back.
A little. I didn't say I rewrote it, but I was.
No, but that was the narrative in the community. It's like, when's Kit gonna release the regs?
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. That was I won't get into that. That was a lot of internal drama, but
I bet it was. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's why I stopped being the leader of the WRC. Basically there's a lot of intricacy to the regs where, it's not that it can't be fixed, but when you do add a new puzzle or you add a new event, sometimes there are things where if you're like, oh, well, we just need to rewrite this. And it's like, oh, well, if we rewrite that, this event kind of depends on that being written in that way. So now we have to consider how this is written. And yeah, it can be kind of a mess.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think any of that, though, is like a legitimate barrier to adding something like FTO.
Agreed.
Because FTO is a very like safe, unproblematic event to add. There are events like Team Blind, or like relays or something, or mirror blocks, whatever, where it's like, it's weird and different and you would need to have like a bunch of work, but FTO is just like Megamix or whatever. It's just like, it's really another very simple, very similar twisty puzzle in a lot of ways, and you'd be treating it the exact same way as far as basically all the regs are concerned.
It almost seems like, now I don't want to, I'm not a delegate, I'm not involved in the WCA at all. I just take shots at it from the outside. That's my role in the WCA, which is just to be a total pain. But it almost seems like you have a perfect test case for creating this new process, right? In FTO,
yeah,
arguably
to some extent.
Like it's almost an opportunity to answer some of those questions, right? If anyone in the WCA has the appetite to take that on. because I know there's a lot of other stuff going on in there. It's a growing organization that is dealing with a lot of other things as well. You know, I've previously looked through the plans on stream and stuff like that too, and had some reckons about it. So it depends. I suppose it takes someone to lead it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to say it was too much, but I do know that there are people working on this.
Well,
not necessarily FTO, but generally within the WCA on making this process.
Great. Well, that's great news, because here's the final question, because we're nearly at 2 hours today already, and I need to go and live my life, and so do you. But where is it right now? Like where is FTO in this process that doesn't exist of being added? And like when do you reckon, like, because you're both invested, you love the event, and you're both WCA. When does FTO become official?
You have any thoughts?
I would say not before the start of 2026, just because these things happen like next calendar year at minimum, and it's nowhere near popular enough yet. I think once the DNFing's publicly released, and that causes a huge spike of popularity, and I think Daeon's planning their own ones. Hopefully that gets released, and there's another big spike. But I think maybe in like 6 months to a year, the community interest is to the level where it's like it's a serious proposal, and then in 2026 it gets added. I would say personally, I'm a bit of a cynic, so I'd say there's a less than 50% chance of happening that soon. But I'd say next few years sometime, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm not. I was going to say the same thing, that 2026 was the earliest I would see this happening.
Right.
And yeah, I think that the issue is less so the community interest that's necessary, and more so because I mean, especially when you look at like the community interest in Scube, like it honestly, FTO has more community interest now than Scube did when it was added. I mean, sure, like Scube was held at some unofficial competitions, but it was like mostly in the US and then a few other countries, which is honestly mostly true for FTO today. But I feel like people know about FTO a lot more than when Scube happened. Like I think part of the process and the problem as to why we don't have a process and we're not adding events after Scube is that many people within the WCA kind of felt blindsided by the addition of Scube, where they didn't know that that was something that was happening. Like it was just the WRC and the board like discussing it and then adding it. And a lot of delegates are like, we need to be able to give our own feedback or like make sure that this seems reasonable, you know, from an like organizational wide perspective. And I think ever since that backlash is kind of why we're stuck in the how do we add an event problem. So I think that you know, it's the community interest would definitely help make the argument, but I think the bigger problem as to why I think 2026 is the earliest possible is that you know, just the process needs to get established, and I just don't see that process being established and then going through that process for FTO before 2025.
Yeah. It's going to take some time to mature a little bit. And I think it's important, just before we sign off today, it's actually kind of important, I think, to recognize DNFing taking a bit of a punt, I think, on the hardware. Hey, like if I were to sort of daydream and think, well, what next for FTO now? We've got accessible hardware, right? We have the beginnings of community interest, and I wonder if there's like space for you know, like Clock Cup or something like that. I wonder if there's room for some actual real growth in FTO now, if anyone's got the space and the inclination to take on something like an FTO Cup and just get people solving and get people seeing it and getting the exposure happening. That could be kind of cool. Hey, get those unofficial records before it goes official.
This is something that so there are unofficial FTO comps at competitions. There are quite a few now in the US, especially.
Yeah, and DNFing are offering prizes for them now as well, I've noticed. Hey, they're trying to get sponsor comps.
That's something that I really appreciate. Like, not only DNFing taking a punt on this unofficial event, which in the grand scheme of things, there aren't that many people that are interested in FTO, I think. Especially not compared to like some random 3x3 variant that they're probably selling like thousands of units of in China or whatever. But yeah, I really appreciate that not only has DNFing produced this, but like they're actively pushing for the popularity. So they're offering to sponsor comps. They've just announced like a video contest thing. Yeah. So like make a video that has over 10k views and you like go in the prize pool for this to win some prizes.
Yeah.
And over 50k, and there's like even bigger prizes, like $600 cash prize for the first. Yeah, it's.
I've got to solve some FTO. I mean, let's stay cynical, James. Let's stay cynical, right? They've got to shift some units, so it's in their interest to do that.
It's marketing, 100%.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that like vector of marketing because it helps us.
Yes, it's mutually beneficial. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And what I really appreciate about it too is that, I mean, because one parallel I drew to this immediately is when Moyu released Oscar's Ready Cube for the first time, like in 2017 or 18 or whatever.
Yes.
And they did sort of the same thing where there was this big push for like, we'll sponsor your competition, take some videos of the competition and all of this sort of thing. And it really felt like, that they designed this puzzle with the express intent of trying to lobby for it to be official. And what felt kind of weird about that is that, like, it was an Oscar design and then they just mass produced it and pushed it immediately. Like, there wasn't even a community for the puzzle yet. Like, it was just a brand new puzzle that they were like, we're releasing, here it is, everybody. And they were kind of forcing the community on people, where I think what feels a little better about the Diane Shang kind of sponsorship stuff to me, where like, sure, it's marketing, but it's like, at least it's based on community interest. Like, they didn't do this because they were like, let's just try to push this puzzle and let's get it, ours to be, WCA official first, so everyone buys our stuff. The reason this puzzle even got designed in the first place was because people from our community reached out to the manufacturers to be like, hey, we have a lot of interest in this puzzle, but the options right now are garbage. Do you want to make a new one? It's a great opportunity.
Also, the fact that FTO grew to the point that it did before there was any good hardware is, in my opinion, like a really strong case for it being an event. Because like the fact that like that many people got interested in terrible cubes, like getting interested in Ready Cube or Clement or whatever is one thing, because like those puzzles are speed solvable. But like the fact that you built a community on the back of this dreadful hardware shows to me that there's something like genuinely of value there. Because otherwise it just wouldn't have. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise it just wouldn't have gotten to the point it has. Normally that level of hardware would kill an event, but it didn't for FTO. So I think there's something there.
Look at that corner cutting. Damn.
Yeah, it actually did more than I thought it would.
Is that the land?
It's the land. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
not. It does not feel fun to turn though.
No, it's not pleasant. Hey, listen, I'm going to have to call it there. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I am, in terms of process, just basically going to hang up on you and then end my stream very quickly after that. But I want to say, James and Kit, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on. It has been a real pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully I'll talk to you again, Kit, at some point. Maybe,
good. Yeah,
maybe when there's some progress.
Yeah. Or to talk about 2x2 regulations or whatever, or sliding.
Mate. I think there may be some fallout coming. I'm about to take 2 weeks off, and I think that might be very poor timing on my behalf, actually. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much, team. I'll catch up with you soon. Peace. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you to everyone for watching today as well. I appreciate you being here. Listen, do me a favor and like the stream, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Like and share one of the videos that we'll release after this as well, and just generally have fun and solve cubes, everyone. Be nice to each other. Chris Mills in the chat as well. Thank you so much, everyone. I've run out of things to say now. Maybe I'll play some music, hey? I'll play a little song. Jesus, it's been light. Thank you for hanging with me through all the technical BS, with the emphasis on BS today. Next time, I promise, will be as bad or worse. Alright, you have my guarantee. Oh, thank you so much. Cubing Life Academy. What's happened to my little screen here? OBS, I hate you. I hate you so much. It keeps me up at night. Cubing Life Academy, though, I love you. Use code Cubecast for 5% off any of the courses that they offer. Go and learn how to clonk real good with Tommy Cherry. Go learn how to do advanced 3x3 with, I think, any of them, actually. Big cubes with Patrick. Side events with sprint events with Ben. They got it all going on. Use code Cubecast for 5% off. I'll be back same time last week, same time next week for the last episode in this sort of series or term. Maybe I'll just call them terms because they match with the school terms. But anyway, I'm going to hit the button and go away right now, okay? Thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate you. Bye.